Welcome to the program on the first day of the new parliament and a new minority government. And Coalition leader Tony Abbott left no room for doubt that he's there to provide robust opposition. There was toing and froing about whether even the Prime Minister could count on being granted leave from the Parliament to travel without jeopardising Labor's slender majority with the help of one Greens MP and 3 independents. Mr Abbott warned Julia Gillard her fragile hold on government did not mean she was relieved of her obligation to honour all her election promises. The first skirmish related to the position of Deputy Speaker, where the government used its numbers and some independents to upset Mr Abbott's choice by nominating another of his own MPs. Political editor Heather Hewitt.
With this welcome, I express the hope of a united, reconciled nation.
A new parliament, the likes of which have never been seen before, and a new formality to mark its opening. The Welcome to Country ceremony on the forecourt of Parliament House is set to become a tradition. Inside the House of Representatives, there was another first, the swearing-in of Australia's first Indigenous member, West Australian Liberal Ken Wyatt, one of 150 election winners. The first day of a new parliament is always one of tradition and ceremony, including the formal nomination of the Speaker. In this case, Labor's Harry Jenkins, who'd had some nervous moments in the past few weeks, wondering if he was going to keep his job.
There is no one in this parliament who is more qualified or deserving of the speakership role than Harry, or who will bring to the House the experience and the stability that this so-called new paradigm will demand. Not to mention that if there's another grand final draw on Saturday, Harry might be asked to decide that one as well.
Let's hope the new paradigm and new parliamentary rules don't quite stretch to that. True to a long-standing ritual taken directly from Westminster, the Speaker was then dragged reluctantly to the chair. He played the part with a bit of encouragement from independent Tony Windsor, before congratulations that reflected what everyone present knew full well. The Parliament was entering a strange new era, and even deciding the speakership had not been a smooth ride.
Mr Speaker, on behalf of the Government, I offer my sincere congratulations on your election as Speaker of the House. It seems to have been a long time coming.
I have to say, Mr Speaker, that I never wavered in my faith that you were the best person for the job that you hold. There were weeks when others doubted. There were weeks when you must have doubted yourself what was going to emerge from this parliament, but I was with you every step of the way, Mr Speaker. I was there. I was your true friend, and I was the true friend of a genuinely independent speakership.
Not since the election of your predecessor, Walter Maxwell Nairn, in the hung Parliament of 1940, has your office played such a key role in our democracy. 3 generations later, we have a remarkable opportunity to rebuild the standing of this parliament in the eyes of the Australian people.
You have our full support. I hope the sunshine is coming in, and I hope we all can make hay while the sun shines under your rule.
There didn't seem to be quite the same sense of optimism pervading the chamber today, and certainly not on the opposition benches, as Tony Abbott reminded the Speaker that under the new rules negotiated by the independents, he was no longer a creature of his party.
You are now free to be in this parliament everything that a Westminster-style Speaker should be. This is your time, Mr Speaker, and I know you will use it to the best interests of this parliament and this nation.
Mr Speaker, I think it's fair to say and it's honest to say that you and I have had something of a love-hate relationship over the last few years as manager of opposition business. I need you to love me as the manager of opposition business, but I haven't always felt that love, Mr Speaker.
At some stage, perhaps, the true story of the last few weeks will be aired. But I am happy that I have the support of family and true friends over the last few weeks. It's given me the strength and the desire to take this position.
He's going to need every bit of that strength in the days ahead because the opposition has given every indication it intends to play it tough on the floor of the House. The signs were all there when Tony Abbott last week reneged on a deal to pair the Speaker, thus reducing Labor's already slim majority.
So, Mr Speaker, this is an opposition which will hold this government to account. This is an opposition which will expect of this government that it honours its commitments. And what that means, and what this means, Mr Speaker, is that it will be a parliament of robust debate. That is what the people expect. They do not expect a false consensus. They do not expect the pretence of agreement when there is none.
Maybe so, but there's a fine line between robust debate and trying to bring down a minority government to force another election. Some of the independents reckon Tony Abbott has already gone too far with his rhetoric, and the Prime Minister remains furious that the opposition pulled out of a key part of the deal for parliamentary reform.
That some of the reforms outlined in the agreement have not been adhered to is a cause for regret. As I say to my colleagues opposite, do not squander this moment, whatever the temptation. As we have seen in other political cultures, short-term tactical victories lead only to longer-term strategic defeat as our system declines in public esteem.
With that, another time-honoured ritual was set in motion as MPs took a stroll from the House of Reps chamber to the Senate to hear the Governor-General outline the government's legislative program, including a mining tax, before making this declaration.
I take pride in opening the 43rd Parliament of the Commonwealth of Australia.
And it was an opening that soon produced its first surprise, with the government outmanoeuvring the opposition over the Deputy Speaker's position in the House of Representatives. The opposition's preferred candidate was National MP Bruce Scott, and early this afternoon the independents had agreed they would support him. But tonight, Labor nominated Liberal MP Peter Slipper, and he won the post in a secret ballot. The move appeared to catch Tony Abbott and his team off guard, despite speculation yesterday that Labor was trying to woo Peter Slipper.
Following some misleading reports, I drafted a media release yesterday. In fact, I had the Leader of the Opposition at the other end of the phone taking down my words. But I did in my media release say I would be happy to serve the Parliament as Deputy Leader, but certainly not on the basis of pairing my vote or guaranteeing confidence and supply to the government.
Congratulations to the nominator and seconder of the member for Fisher for nominating him for this high office on that basis, on the basis that he is voting as a normal member of this Parliament in the normal proceedings of this Parliament.
It was as good as a warning to Peter Slipper to remember what side he's on. And while insisting he hasn't done a deal, Labor wouldn't have nominated him unless they thought there was something in it for them. After today's pomp and ceremony, tomorrow the Parliament gets down to business. And that should give a clearer indication of whether the unexpected is likely to become the norm in both houses.
Political editor Heather Hewitt.